this is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Ullman. I'd like to thank Erica Bradley of North Shore TV for the use of her studio facilities here in Lake Success, and Marcelo Mendez for his technical support for the training for our crew. The show is broadcast on public access television. I'd like to say hello to our viewers in both Nassau and Suffolk counties. I'd like to thank Sabrina Lacey, the former commander and current chaplain of the Suffolk County VFW. Hi, Sabrina.
Hi.
I'd like to thank our crew. On camera 1, General Robert Guarneri. On camera 2, Mike Felix. On camera 3, Eric Spinner is on camera 3 today. Our assistant director, Gene Schurer. Our assistant graphics director is Loretta DeBrino. Our graphics director is Beverly Allman. Our producer and co-host is Eric Spinner. And our director is Robert Lane, who never gets enough credit. You've heard me say this before. Who never gets enough credit for the work that he does. By the way, if any members of the crew would like to host the show, just get a guest and you can host the show. Okay, by the way, if you'd like to ask me a question, just send a comment on my email, please, to mardiv1@optimum.net. And you can see that email on the front of the front of the desk, and also it's on the screen. Our guests today are Cathy Ward, the Secretary of Long Island Air Force Association, and Steve Latus, the immediate past president of the United Veterans Organization and vice president of the Air Force Association. Now, the Air Force Association has done a lot and is doing a very lot for the Vietnam veterans and the women veterans, and for the remaining members of World War II. We'll talk to our guest in a few minutes, but first I'd like to remember some of the veterans who died recently. There's William Corbett Sr. of Floral Park, was in the Air Force for about 10 years and served in Operation Deep Freeze in Antarctica in 1960 and 61. He went on to get his law degree and serve as a village justice. Thomas Cavanaugh was a Navy veteran from Northport who served as a Suffolk County cop and later as the local school board president. George Devine of Huntington graduated from St. John's University Law School, then joined the Navy, where he served 4 years. He joined the Navy after he got his law degree. Wow. Very good. Joseph Bazuta of St. James served in the Army. He gained international notoriety for his auto racing. Leonard Finns of Manhasset was decorated lieutenant in the U.S. Army during World War II and went on to become a Supreme Court justice. James O'Donnell was a proud Navy veteran of the Korean War who had a long and successful career in Wall Street. Felix Andrews of Manhasset was a Chaminade graduate and a Dayton University graduate, and he served with the Army Corps of Engineers in Korea. James Aspinall was a Vietnam vet who served with the U.S. Navy from 1968 to 74. Thomas Carter of Rockville Center served in both the Army and the Air Force in both the Korean War and the Vietnam War. Berg Jamekin of Valley Stream served in the Air Force during the Korean War. If you know a veteran who died recently, I just remembered, I was just handed this. This is a veteran, Emmanuel Porta. His name was also, what was his nickname? Ski? Well, he was a Korean War vet, and he was a Marine from Inwood. Tats, that was his nickname. Sorry, Tats. Okay. In a few minutes, we're going to, that's the end of Veterans News, and now it's time for our guests. Hello, Cathy.
Hello.
Steve.
Hello, Ed.
Okay. You're both with the Veterans, with the Air Force Association?
Correct.
Okay. And you, of course, are the past president of the UVO.
That's correct.
First, I'd like to talk about who you are. what you did. Kathy, I'll let you go first.
Well,
you really have some unusual things.
Yeah. My father was part of the Flying Tigers.
Flying Tigers, that's a
in World War II.
Yeah.
Yes, and he was China, Burma, India, Africa,
Right.
and Italy. He did a lot of, he didn't fly the planes. He wound up doing all of the radio setups for the communications across all of the places that he was.
Yeah.
I am also the wife of a Vietnam veteran, and he served for a year, and he was in the highlands in Vietnam, Pleiku, then Saigon at the end when he got out. He was also able to win the Soldier of the Month award, and he got to come home for Christmas one year. But he had to bring 2 American soldiers who were prisoners and bring
Really?
them to Leavenworth. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's what Soldier of the Month got him. And so he wound up doing that. He was 6 months short of leaving Vietnam, but he wound up going down to Washington, D.C. in an ice storm. And, of course, nobody's there during Christmas, and he was not able to stay in the States. He had to go back to Vietnam,
Right.
and he only had he had less than 6 months to serve, and they sent him to Saigon, and that's where he was.
In Saigon.
Yeah, at the end.
What year was he in?
He was in from 68 through 69.
Okay.
Yeah.
69, I was
And-
there in 69.
And he was in the 10 Offensive
Right.
at that point.
Sure.
Yeah. It was.
Did he experience any combat in
Oh yes,
Ted?
he was involved in quite a lot of it there. And one of the stories he told was when the monsoons were coming, and he had his poncho and it was into the ground, and that's where he slept. And then when he got up in the morning, there were tiger tracks around his poncho.
tiger tracks?
Tiger tracks, yes. Which was unbelievable.
Yeah.
But the thing is he was in the 10 Offensive there, and he saw quite a lot there.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about your father? He was a Flying Tiger, which is a very well-known unit during World War II.
That's correct.
When did he die, your father?
My father died in 07.
07.
Yeah, he had pancreatic cancer. But he was part of the when he left the service, he was in for 4 years, and when he left the service, he was part of the Army Air Corps, and then they were going to make the Air Force. So he became a charter member of the Air Force Association, which is how I became involved with the Air Force Association.
Okay.
By his involvement. And then he was the treasurer for 25 years for New York State for the Air Force Association. And so now, after getting involved in doing a couple of state conventions and different ceremonies that we wound up doing through the years, I've been in as a secretary for 23 years now for the Air Force Association for Long Island chapter.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, how about you? What's your military experience?
Well, I was obviously in the Air Force. I enlisted November 5th, 1968, and was separated from active duty November 4th, 1972. I was made a student when I first got out of basic, a student at the Defense Language Institute in Monterey, California. And I really wanted Russian. That's what I went into the service for. And I got assigned Russian. This will come up later. But then they switched me, when I was waiting around for my orders, they switched me to Serbo-Croatian.
You're kidding.
And my first thought at that point was, what is Serbo-Croatian?
Right.
It turns out it's the language of the former Yugoslavia, now broken up into various countries: Serbia, Croatia, Montenegro, Bosnia, etc. So that's the language I study.
You speak Serbo-Croatian?
I speak bits and pieces because this was a long time ago.
Wow.
So, and I have obviously not kept up with it at all. But yes.
I'm sure you can say something.
Something. Strabo.
All right.
I mean,
Boy, you
Hello.
can fake it, sure.
hello,
Steve,
sir.
how long were you in the military?
4 years.
4 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service. And thank you for coming
Yeah.
home as well.
Yeah.
They sent you to language school?
Language school. Yeah.
What was your-
It was odd because there's always the joke about you join to do something and you never get that job that you were seeking. I got exactly what I wanted, which was language training, because that was my favorite subject in high school, German,
Right.
which caused me trouble in language school because every time I had to translate something into Serbo Croatian, sometimes a German word would slip in there, and it didn't work well.
Dankeschön.
There you go.
I was one of the last
And
fast
another
classes.
bilingual
in that.
person.
Yeah, so it was 37 weeks, the training. I was in one of the last, what they call the short courses, or Turbo Serbo, as they called it. Then
Wow.
went to a year.
Did you go right from high school into the service?
No, I had
You went
gone to college,
Okay.
and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I went for a couple of years, and I said, you know what, I'm kind of wasting time here. I'm going to enlist. So that's what I did. And oddly enough, when I was in basic, I got a draft notice. I found that out from my parents, so that was kind of interesting. But yeah, so when I graduated language school, they assigned me to a tech school in San Angelo, Texas at Goodfellow Air Force Base for radio training and so forth. That was another 2 months on top of the 36 weeks. So right now the government has a big investment in me.
Right.
And anyone who went to that field, you got a top secret clearance too. So my neighbors were kind of shocked when the FBI started asking questions around the neighborhood about me.
Wow.
So I found that out later. So after tech school, I got assigned to a mobile squadron, the 6948th Security Squadron Mobile in San Angelo, Texas. And that was designed to go anywhere in the world to, serve any need that would require my particular set of skills. So
So where did you go in the world?
the only place I went from there was survival school in Washington State in February, which involved tramping around in snowshoes, literally in snowshoes in the mountains with snow
Yeah.
so deep it was ridiculous. And you had to make your own tent out of parachute silk. It would, it was a simulation. What would happen if you were shot down or had to crash in hostile territory?
Right.
And you had to escape and evade, and then there was a mock POW camp that you got sent to, and it was very interesting. So from there, I got sent by mistake, I later found out, to Greece. And everybody was saying, why are you going to Greece? Serbos never go to Greece. Well, here's my orders. When I got there, I subsequently found out they still had me down in my original records as a Russian.
It's Russian.
Yeah, which they did serve in Crete, which is where I went, Crete, Greece. And they had to sort it all out. I was there 2 to 3 weeks doing details before they finally sent me to San Vito, Italy, which was where I should have gone in the first place.
Right.
So that's where I spent the remainder of my time in the security service.
Okay.
And I was what they call a voice intercept operator, which if you've ever seen the guys in the movies with the headsets on in a windowless building, that was me.
Wow.
So,
did you spend your whole time in the service doing that?
no, I actually found out, it's an 18-month tour in Italy, and they were going to send me to NSA.
NSA.
Back in the States, the National Security Agency in
Okay.
Fort Meade. And I had heard that when you're an enlisted man, which I was a sergeant at the time, that you had to pull like 2 weeks of KP, even up to E5. I said, I hate KP. Let me throw a Hail Mary. I'll put in for California, which I loved. And strangely enough, I got it. So the last few months I was in the service, from like April to November, I was at Vandenberg Air Force Base as a technical librarian. So so I kind of went out with a whimper there.
Yeah.
And over the years, I thought maybe it would have been interesting to go to NSA, but at the time I was like, 2 weeks of KP, no, not for me. And on that excuse, I bailed on that one. And I was shocked I got that assignment. But I guess they figured if your heart wasn't in it, they didn't want you.
Where'd you go to college?
Well, when I got out, I went to CW Post. I went to Farmingdale first, got a business degree and then got an accounting degree at CW Post.
Oh.
So, and then became a CPA a few years later and spent my time in public accounting. And I retired 5 years ago.
So that's why you didn't want to have your hat so people could see you. They still looking for
Yeah, just
you.
the visor.
Let's talk about what you do with the Air Force Association. Cathy?
Well, being the secretary, I help with a lot of the programs that are going on. Started out by doing a New York State convention, of which we had 300 people for dinner from the membership, and then we did a Jubilee of Liberty Medal ceremony for veterans after that. We had a dinner at night, and I helped with getting a lot of that stuff done between the programs and everything. And after that, we wound up having several ceremonies for that. Then we wound up getting into a lot of things with the Civil Air Patrol, because we're part of the full Air Force family.
The Jubilee of
Liberty Medal was
Liberty
from
Medal?
France. The
who was that for?
from Normandy.
For Normandy?
Yes.
So it was for the World War II veterans? that
That's
served
right.
at
It was the
Normandy?
World War II veterans
Oh.
that served in Normandy. And we had probably, I think it was about 50 veterans for that particular ceremony. We had several ceremonies after that. And then we, like I said, we started getting into things with the Civil Air Patrol, where we'd have the squadrons compete against each other out at the 106. But that was
The
before.
106 is the Air Force
The 106
facility?
is the Air Rescue Wing
Air
out
Rescue Wing,
in West
right.
Hampton Beach.
Right.
A lot of people don't know that we have a
sure.
rescue wing out there.
Yeah.
We have a VFW across the street from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the West Hampton VFW.
Right.
And the 106 Air Wing. Also, St. Patrick's Day is coming up. I usually march in the parade.
Oh, do you?
Doing it with the 106
Oh,
and
yeah.
the
And,
VFW.
you know,
Those guys are
it's
wonderful, right?
Just a wonderful facility. They were very good with helping us out with the Civil Air Patrol cadets. With the competitions that they did, they let us use like the hoses for the fire department in order for them to run certain things. And then we started getting into the Vietnam veteran when the
Yeah.
Department of Defense let us be a sponsor to be to host ceremonies for Vietnam veterans. And I'd like to turn that over to Steve and
Yeah.
let him.
That's this medal here. Anyone who served in theater in Vietnam or the surrounding area is eligible to put in for the medal. You have to be residing currently in Nassau, Suffolk, Queens, Brooklyn, or Staten Island. And just send us a copy of your DD-214. We have a website, liafa.org. That's our website. We have a copy of the Vietnam Medal application on the site. Yeah, here's a copy of the certificate
There you go.
that you get.
There you go.
That's a better picture.
Right.
Okay. This is the medal that you get along with the proclamation. And it's a very nice ceremony. You bring your family, your friends. Obviously, it's free. And
And it's for any branch, is that correct?
any branch of the
Any branch of the
service does
service.
not have to be the Air Force. In fact, most of the time it's Army, because just the preponderance of people who are in that particular branch.
That wound up being drafted.
Yeah. It's usually something like, I don't know, 20 Army, 5 Navy, a couple of Marines maybe, and a couple of Air Force. It's overwhelmingly Army, as you can understand.
They have a group, I don't know the name of, that's going to Normandy in June.
Oh, yeah, they always
The
have
ones that wear
somebody.
they wear the skirts, and they do the
Oh, the
Bagpipes?
yeah.
Yeah,
They're going to be doing a special ceremony in June. I'm trying to go with them, but
Oh,
that's why I'm
yeah.
mentioning it now.
Oh,
I
that'd
think
be
it's a
fun.
marvelous thing. And then you just mentioned Normandy.
Right,
So,
right, yeah. That would be a wonderful trip to take.
Yes.
It really would.
Yeah, we have the next ceremony that's coming up for Vietnam medal recipients is, let's see, May 13th at the Museum of American Armor in Old Bethpage. That's our 38th medal ceremony for Vietnam veterans. So we've been having this observance and commemoration ceremony since 2015.
Right.
So
I have to say that ceremony was really phenomenal. I was there, and I got the medal, and I have to admit, I was holding back tears at a number of times during the whole event. It was very nice, very nice.
It is very moving
Yes.
to see these guys who went through so much and were, in some cases, not treated very respectfully when they returned, to have a medal and a proclamation and to be greeted warmly.
Yeah.
The audience is rooting for them, the families and friends are rooting for them, and they get to stand up there, have their picture taken, get the medal. It's a great ceremony. Coast Guard band plays music
Right.
through it. It's fantastic.
Right.
So,
Again,
Yeah.
if somebody wants to learn about this,
yes, go to liafa.org, our website. There's a medal application online with instructions. You will have to submit a DD-214. Just black out your social security number or your service number and mail it in, and we'll put you on the waiting list.
Steve,
Usually, yeah.
if there's an organization that would like to have their people in their group, can they contact you as well? Can you go to one of the American Legions or the AMVETS organizations and present the award?
No, we only
No?
present it at, whatever venue we select, we present
Okay.
it there. Yeah, these don't get mailed out. You have to actually attend the ceremony.
Right, okay.
now where do you have the ceremonies?
It's all over. We've had
Right.
it at the Long Island State Veterans Home in Stony Brook. We've
Right.
had it at the Cradle of Aviation in Uniondale. We've had it at the Air Power Museum in Farmingdale. So
Right.
it's wherever we can get room, basically, and that can handle the ceremony.
Right.
We select it and we make an announcement and we go forward. We generally do 20 to 30 vets at a time.
Okay.
So once you get on the list, you'll just have to wait to be contacted as to when you'll get your medal.
Right. And again, the email address is what?
Well, that's the website.
The website?
That's the website, is LIAFA for Long Island Air Force Association,
Okay.
.org.
And if you don't have a pen, you can watch this show again next week on the same channel, the same time you're watching this one, and you'll catch our show, because this show is done 4 times during the month of March. So we're filming here in the last day of February, but the show will be shown every, it's every Tuesday at 6:30 on Cablevision, and it's also on at 8 a.m., also on channel 115. So channel 20 is the Cablevision, that's the regular channel, and channel 115 you can also catch the show.
Oh, I should mention
Okay.
also that the Long Island Air Force Association also has a Facebook page. So if you go on Facebook,
Good.
type in Long Island Air Force Association, we have a page there where we make announcements and so forth also. So that's in addition to
Right.
our own website that we have.
Good. That's very good. You're part of another organization. You're the president of the Long Island
Yeah.
LINCMO?
It's called LINCMO, which is short for Long Island National Cemetery. Now I'm getting
Okay.
tongue-tied.
Good.
Long Island
I'm not the only one.
National Cemetery Memorial Organization, which helps out with getting flagpoles and other types of supplies and so forth for the cemetery in Farmingdale. It's right next to Pine Lawn. And we also have a ceremony every year for the Sunday before Memorial Day
Right.
and the Sunday before Veterans Day. So if you're in the neighborhood around 2 o'clock on those Sundays, we'd be more than happy to have you come out and participate as an audience member.
Very good. Sabrina, do you have any closing questions for them?
Yes. How long have you been, when you came out of the military, you were a CPA. Did you get married? Do you have any kids? or
Yes,
anything?
I got married in 1974, which is a couple years after I got out. We have 2 kids, a son and a daughter.
Anyone joined the military?
No.
No?
No.
Smart.
No, the tradition has not survived me. My father was a World War II vet. He served in Europe. He was in the National Guard, and they got called up. So he was with the cavalry. I mean, I have pictures of him with horses before the mechanization started.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful.
Oh, am I coming loose?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you, when you were in Italy, all right, you said that you didn't get to speak that much of a language. I know it was that time you couldn't really travel or anything. But since that time, have you thought about going back to visit?
I've thought about it, but it's a daunting thing, you know. It's tough. You know, you get older, you really don't want to travel that much, at least I don't. I think travel is fantastic when you're younger. It's a great way to see the world, learn other people's customs and languages and so forth. So I think it's very valuable to do, but you know, I'm 75.
Oh,
I don't feel
really?
like gallivanting off to Italy.
Well, you look so youthful, right?
Yeah.
On LinkMo, how long has that organization been around?
It's been around since Adam and Eve, I think. It's been around
Really?
a while. Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't know exactly when it started, but it's way before World War II.
And it's both Nassau and Suffolk County, the members?
We have members from, both counties, because the National Cemetery itself is right on the border there.
Okay.
So it serves, they no longer accept burials unless you have, let's say, your parents are buried
Right.
there, which mine are. You can be buried in the same plot, but there's no new plots. They're only accepting cremated remains.
Cremated remains.
Yes, I do
Yeah.
have columbariums there.
Kathy, let me ask you about your medal that you're wearing.
This is the medal that we are giving
Yes.
out to all of the women that were in the military. Doesn't mean that we also are taking women that are serving now, and we will give them the medal. We had our first ceremony at the Cradle of Aviation. We had 30 women that we wound up giving the medal to. They were from all branches of the service, and some very young people. There was, as a matter of fact, the first woman who received it was the daughter of somebody I went to high school with. And it was just really a surprise, you know, for the first inaugural ceremony that we have. But also you can go onto our website, and there is a application that we have for it. We'd be more than happy to have you go online, and this is our application that we have for the ceremony.
What is the name of that website?
That's on liafa.org, same website as for the Vietnam Medal.
Right.
Kathy, I want to say thank you for your tenacity for thinking of us women that served in the military. As we move forward, you know, we don't have too many medals
Right.
that they have given out to us. So I'm very touched that you have brought it here today. And for you to be able, in your organization, to be able to get 30 women together and give them a medal, I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Because most women out there don't like to come out, but they need to come out into the public now, because
Yes.
we're here to serve you. And that's why I'm sitting here today.
Yes.
Yes, and we're seeking new women to apply, because as we had on our last Zoom meeting, we're not having that many women apply. So if you're a woman, veteran or currently serving, and you're going to be in the neighborhood, put in an application and get a medal.
Steve, here's a check from the 1st Marine Division Association for the patches you give out at LinkMo to the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts that
Yes.
help put the flags on the graves and the wreaths at Christmas.
Yes, thank you, Ed.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you very much.
Okay.
Right, good man, good man.
Well, that's it. I don't know if we have time, but come on up, crew, get behind the camera.
And
Get
I wa-
behind our stage.
Come on,
And
crew.
on a-
Come on.